You're such an asshole.
Hey all, the old captain here, back from the Eclipse adventure, and I don't know if it's a young man. Stephen writes, "Hello Captain, I'd like you to do a clarity test on Story Musgrave. I'd also like you to rant on why young men should still strive for excellence, even whilst enjoying the decline. Thank you. Please let me know your price. Have a great day, Steve." All right, thank you, Steve. So, Story Musgrave, and I've heard the name before because it's such an obtuse name. But then you look into him and it's like, oh, here's one of these, here's old school. Franklin Story Musgrave, MD, doctor. That's an 80s joke none of you kids are going to get. Is an American physician and a retired NASA astronaut. He is a public speaker and consultant to both Disney's Imagineering Group and Applied Minds in California. In 1996, he became only the second astronaut to fly in 6 space suits. And he is the most formally educated astronaut with 6 academic degrees. Johnny Kim is not beating this guy. Look at Johnny Kim. Johnny Kim's, well, this guy's got a ton of years on him. This dude just looks like a badass mofo. All right, so let's go through his personal story here. Grew up in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, but considers Lexington, Kentucky to be his hometown. He has 7 children, unfortunately one of whom is deceased. His hobbies are chess, flying, gardening, literary criticism, poetry, microcomputers, parachuting, photography, reading, running, scuba diving, and soaring. Was stalked by Margaret Mary Ray, a schizophrenic woman who had previously served time for stalking comedian David Letterman. All right. Well, what's his background? He attended Dexter School, Brooklyn, Massachusetts, St. Mark's School from 1940, before dropping out of St. Mark's while serving in the Marines. So he go on to receive his GED, received a BS in mathematics and statistics from Syracuse, MBA in operations and analysis of computer programming, University of California, 1959. So back then, MBAs actually meant something. BA in chemistry, MD from Columbia, MS in physiology and biophysics, and then MA in literature in 1987. So we could kind of forgive him for that because, like, the rest of his freaking degrees are pretty freaking awesome. Let's take a look. I gotta find out about his childhood. Story Musgrave childhood. A lot of people get pissed off when I don't do the research beforehand. And I do that specifically to piss people off. So, you didn't do the research before. He was in the Force Alone at 3 and by 5. What? Born on a dairy farm. He was in the Force Alone at 3 and by 5 floated his home-built rafts on the river. He rode combines at 5, drove trucks, and went to Korea. Okay, if he was from a farm, he did not come from money. So, also, he does not get a point for that. Did he major in stupid shit? No, he did not. He majored in a ton of worthwhile shit, especially before it was pop and cool to do so. So he does not get a point for that. And remember, you don't want points on the score. Does he have real-world working experience? Yes, he was in the Marine Corps. He went over to Korea. Then he was a medical career, a mathematician. I mean, the guy's all over. In the Air Force. Worked on aerospace medicine. He was a postdoctoral fellow, cardiovascular exercise physiology, practiced medicine from 1967 to 1989. NASA! This is going to be impressive if Johnny Kim can beat Story Musgrave. Spaceflight experience. All right, so they go through all the different things that he's flying. And what is he doing now? What does he do now? I think he's a speaker. Medical career, NASA career. Retired from NASA in 1997. Oh, what does he do? He's doing... Yeah, he was working at Disney. It's up here. He is a public speaker consultant. All right, so this guy, he gets a perfect score. He gets 0 points. Perfect golf score. Very few people are like this guy. I'd be real curious because I'm wondering about his old man. Did he, like, his old man educate him, or this guy become like a self-starter at 3? He's running around in the forest building rafts at 5. I would love this guy probably even more than some of the mafia bosses. Would I like to have a beer with this guy? Hell yes. And it'd be a very one-sided conversation because I would just shut the fuck up and listen to the man and I'd just record it because my brain is only going to remember at most 30% of this. So I'll remember the most. And look at him go. This is a guy who ain't going to retire. You know he's not going to retire. What is he, born in 35? It says he's retired, but he's still going. 81? This guy's not going to retire. You know he's not sitting there. You know he's not sitting there watching fucking Bonanza. You know that. This is one of those guys who could probably outrun you, and you're like 33, and you're like, old man. And he's like running, 10 miles a day. Yeah, this is just a superior person. This is probably, I wouldn't doubt it if you looked at his DNA, it's like starting to mutate into a superhuman. And us normies are just sitting there like, oh, fuck. You know Story Musgrave. So, all right, that's it. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself here. I'd also like you to do a rant on why young men should still strive for excellence even whilst enjoying the decline. Thank you. Please let me know your price. All right. Story Musgrave highlights this. Look, here's why every young man and woman, but women just want to be told things they want to hear. And especially in this audience, we're very toxic. And I wouldn't say toxic, but just have a high pH balance that irritates people. Here's the reason why. You can... Well, okay, maybe you're not smart enough to have a life like Story Musgrave. Let's just admit that. Maybe we're not all going to live like Story Musgrave. But you should at least aim to have the best life you possibly can. Because you have a choice. You can sit there and watch MTV videos or whatever's on TV. You can watch the daytime television. You can watch Jerry Springer. Who's the Dad? You can watch that. You can piss away your wife or your life. Or you could achieve greatness in your own capacity and regard. Now, Story Musgrave has achieved greatness in many capacities and regards in many fields. You don't need to be constantly going. He probably just has a voracious appetite to constantly go, and a curiosity to explore different realms of the world in terms of intellect and science. You just need to excel in one thing that you very much like. Now, keep in mind, that isn't going to be your job. It's great if it is your job. It's great if it is your career. But as is going to be for most people, your job is not what's going to make you happy in life. You're lucky if it is. You're very lucky if it is. But for most of us, computer programming engineer, your job is to give you food or money for food, clothing, and shelter so that you can then go and pursue your goals and dreams in life. And whatever field it is, whatever hobby it is that you want to achieve excellence in, go and do that, because then you have a legacy and something to point to. You have a point and purpose in life. Whether or not society appreciates it, this has nothing to do with society. Fuck society. This is all you. This is I wouldn't even say greedy. It's the most selfish thing you're going to do is what do I want to do and achieve excellence in. So, some people it's music. All right? Now keep in mind, you don't have to make money. Doesn't matter if society pays you or not. If you enjoy music, go become a great musician. Or just have fun doing it. Become an artist. Become an author. Get into aeronautics. Become a pilot. Gardening. Anything that you want to do, go and fucking do it. And do it the best that you can so that you master this craft and you have an intellectual interest in it so that not only do you master what is already known, but maybe you can push and advance that field a little bit further. Like my buddy, he runs this podcast called Small Scale Life Podcast. And I'm very interested and intrigued in gardening in an urban setting, especially as it pertains to economics, because if you look at most farming, it's all mechanized, it's all on the ground. Most of us don't have the money to afford a combine or all these tractors. So how does a single person grow enough food so that they could survive in a post-apocalyptic? How could you grow your own food and survive? Could you do it? Could I do it? So for me, the intellectual, the economics curiosity, the economics question is how do I expend the least amount of effort and calories of energy? Because farming sucks. Tilling fields sucks. It is backbreaking work. So he's showing me simple things like you don't want to plant in the ground. You got to bend over and pick up that shit. Your back goes out. You want raised beds. All right, hey, I don't want to water every day. I don't want an automatic water system. He's like, well, if you could do, you get these wicking baskets and wicking troughs. He started with baskets, then he upgraded the troughs because troughs are long. You plant the stuff in there. It's raised to the level. You just boop, pull it out. And with a slight, well, yeah, I guess you don't need as long as it's pretty flat with a slight tilt. You pour water into this feeding system. It waters all these shelves, these shelvings that basically rain gutters is all they are with capped ends. And then it just wicks up, and you water once. It waters everything in the system because it's all hooked up to one pipe. And there you go. You're not spraying around. Just fill a reservoir. It seeps in. And then because it's raised, you don't have to worry about vermin or varmints or bunny rabbits or anything like that, or voles or moles or insects and all that. It's right there. It's above the ground, and you can pick it up. So stuff like that, and I've seen him evolve like this theoretical, we call it the P-51 garden, because the P-51 is a fighter plane that was easily designed, easily built, easily replaced, easily manufactured. It's just easy, as opposed to a tiger tank. So some thought up front, exploring these frontiers, and he's still perfecting. You'll always perfect it, but he is advanced. Like, I was going to go out buy some land in South Dakota and start farming. Not like, oh, Farmer Brown, I got my little pitchfork. I was going to like do some, enough gardening that I could live if necessary. But that alone, thinking that much through, watching him go down, and even just listening to that podcast, has expanded that particular field to the point that a lot of people, and you could argue hydroponics, a lot of people could survive on their own without having to resort to going to a farm. They could grow it in their backyard and save themselves millions of calories of energy from actually pulling the stuff out of the ground, fighting it. It's just thinking and evolving and advancing this particular field. And it's very interesting, even though gardening, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a chore. But now there's an intrigue. There's an intellectual reward. There's a challenge there. So you have the choice, and as obscure as that might sound, gardening, if you don't have an interest in gardening, you now have a point and purpose and a challenge. You have agency. You have a goal that gets your pathetic fucking ass out of the goddamn couch. Stop watching Jerry Springer. Stop watching your daytime soaps. And you go out and you go do something that has production at the end and actually makes your life easier. And as it just so happens, I got another request from another guy. There's a suicide, I wouldn't call it epidemic, but a suicide and alcoholism and depression. I don't want to call it crisis is too commonly used. Like, a crisis would mean there's people just blowing their brains out in the street. All right, that would be a crisis. But there's a dramatic increase in suicide rates, depression rates, mental illness, and alcoholism in the United States. And he wants to know what that is. Well, in parts because everyone's just sitting on their ass and they're not doing anything in life. So if not for achieving excellence, for its own sake, for its intellectual reward, for its pride, for its point and purpose of giving you reason to live, pursue excellence just so you don't become a depressed, pathetic fucking... In our day, we called them emo kids. Emo kids were the millennials. Were Gen Xers, predecessors. They were the proto-millennials. Like they wore nylon on their arms and they wore mascara and they watched The Crow. They thought The Crow was a great movie. And they listened to Nirvana. And they were sad when Kurt Cobain killed himself. And us few people who still had our brains about us were celebrating when that piece of shit died. And then came, now though you have the millennials, the basement dwellers. You don't want that life. You don't want that life. You could sit there and get your girlfriend pregnant in the trailer park. You could sit there in the ghetto and buy your fucking brand name bullshit and rent rims because you really don't actually have money. You can, ladies, on your end, you can go ahead and get illegitimately pregnant and spit out a kid because, well, that's easier than working a job or majoring in engineering, right? And that'll give you a paycheck and agency and purpose to live. Even though your lives are hell, you've just raised another generation of people who are also going to have lives of hell. Or you could say, holy shit, I'm going to die. Listen to the song by William Shatner called You'll Have Time. Please listen to that song after listening to this. Do that. And I'm going to make it count. I'm going to work towards something. I'm going to build something. And I'm going to become an expert in something. And maybe I'm not the world's greatest expert. And maybe I'm not the best guitar player. And maybe I'm not the best hang glider or ship model in a bottle. Dude, I never figured out how they did that to get the ship in the bottle. I never figured that out. But it will give you something to do. Even me, I know this sounds stupid, but I'm a lapidurist. You say, what the fuck? A lapidary, I cut and polish stones. And I make nice little shiny, pretty stones and jewelry for my girlfriend and other female friends of mine. And it's very methodical. I'm also into metallurgy or foundry working. I melt scrap metal and make ingots out of them. And, you think, oh, boy, that sounds, boy, you are the life of the party. Actually, I am. I am the life of the party. Not in high school, in college, when people were stupider than fuck. But when it comes to, when it counts and it matters, and there's actually people with IQs above, 40, I actually am the life of the party because I have many varied. And Story Musgrave, holy shit! Who do you think people are going to listen to? Fucking soccer moms tell them, "Oh my God, the school districts did this and that and that and this." Oh yeah, man, I gotta get my MBA and then I'm gonna get promoted to senior vice director. Or do you think they're all like, "Wow, holy shit, astronaut, surgeon, rafting Huckleberry Finn guy over here, and he can still kick your ass at 81." Who do you think is much more interesting and therefore happier? Not that you should achieve excellence or pursue excellence in your field to be popular. That is not for your own benefit. But do you want to be a boring commoner person? Do you want to be a normie? Do you want to be the rank and file sheep? Or would you rather be an interesting person? All right, somebody's here. We'll talk to you guys later. Toodles.